Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Clutter. I'm your host, Margo, a professional organizer specializing in chronic clutter. And today I am going to teach you 5 simple steps, and this will help you master decluttering. Oftentimes, decluttering seems incredibly overwhelming. Oftentimes, we look around our space and we're like, there's just so much stuff. I can't do this. I cannot do this, especially if we have mental health and chronic illness going on, right? Decluttering can seem something that's so outside of our reach. And maybe we're on like social media and we see all of these people with like beautiful, clean, tidy homes. And we're like, how are they doing it? I want that too, but you feel incredibly discouraged. Maybe you've even tried to declutter, but you perceived it as a massive fail. And you're just like, I want it, but I don't know how to do it, right? So today, I'm going to teach you 5 simple tips. I'm going to start off actually with the biggest mistake that most of us make when it comes to achieving a clutter-free, clean, and tidy home. And this first mistake, if you just stop doing this, you're already like 50% there. A lot of the one-on-one clients that I work with, especially when they get on their first Zoom call with me, one of the first things that they will say, and this leads directly into tip number 1, is how do I make this fit? And that is like... That question always makes me laugh, right? Because that is the wrong question. We should never be asking the question, how do we make this fit? If you find yourself trying, like you're going into your closet or your pantry or, underneath your sink or wherever it is, and you're just like, I just can't seem to make it fit. If you're saying that or any version of that, it's because you have too much stuff. Like that's all that means. If you're asking that question, you have too much stuff. And what you should really be saying is, what do I need to get rid of? So that everything I need, everything I desire fits. So the first thing, and this is what I see, oh my God, so many people do. You need to stop organizing your clutter. Organizing clutter does not work. Now, I know that that's not how you're perceiving it. You're just like, here's my closet. I'm just going to organize it. There's no such thing. You have to declutter first. What happens is, or I recently had a client, and we started working together, and she's giving me a tour of her kitchen. And she's like, well, I bought all of these containers for the pantry and I'm trying to make stuff fit, but it's not fitting. And it's like, because we got to declutter first. We got to strategize, right? What we need to contain. And only then do we go to the store and we purchase containers. Hopefully we measured as well, right? So it's not so much get stuff first and then try to, organize the existing stuff, but rather it is declutter first, right? Figure out where everything is going to be. There's a philosophy, there's a flow, there's a beauty to organization, right? Organization is less about pretty stuff and it's more about functional use of space, which is one of the things that I teach my one-on-one clients. But you need to stop organizing your clutter. You are wasting time, and oftentimes you are wasting money. Forget the bins, forget the organizations. I know it's like so aesthetically beautiful, but it's not functional when you have too much stuff. So what happens when you try to organize your clutter? Like think of your dresser drawers where maybe you took everything out and then you like separated your tank tops from your t-shirts, from your bodysuits if you wear them. I love bodysuits. I'm like all about bodysuits, but that's neither here nor there. And you like literally just like fold everything all pretty and stuff. And then you just make a stack and then you put it back in your dresser. And then the next time, right, by the way, the dresser's still barely closing. And then the next time you go to pull out a t-shirt or something, the whole thing looks like a hot mess, right? It just completely looks like a hot mess. That is a sign that you actually need to declutter what's in that dresser. The point is that what we're actually trying to achieve is not a clutter-free home. I'm going to say that again. What we're actually trying to achieve is not so much a clutter-free home. It's a home that's easy to maintain. And that is the result of having less stuff. Things in your home, whether it's a closet or a room or a pantry or a counter or whatever, or your makeup, things need to seamlessly fit into your space. If you're shoving things into something, that means you have too much stuff. Like your home, and this might sound bananas, your home speaks to you. Your home, not literally, but your home tells you like, hey, this is not working. Like there's too many of us, right? In this like makeup caddy. Like you need to get rid of some of us. So stop organizing your clutter. Get rid of your stuff for organization. If you are just starting out on your decluttering journey, and my hope is you are committed. If you're listening to this podcast, my hope is a lot of the beautiful women in my audience, in my community, they'll like hit me up on Instagram and they'll be like, Margo, I'm decluttering as I'm listening to your podcast. And that is what I want to hear. Of course, I appreciate everyone listening, but I want to hear that you are listening and you are doing, right? Not just about sponging, it's about doing. So things need to seamlessly fit into your space little by little. But you want to declutter first and don't even think about organization. If you're brand new to decluttering, if you have now developed this mindset, you are like, you know what? Starting today, by the way, becoming a clutter-free person, whether you're a minimalist or whatnot, whatever that means to you, is a mindset first. So you can, as you're listening to this podcast, you can literally be like, effective today, I have decided I'm a minimalist. I have a client, so just a funny story. I have a client, she's been with me for a few months, and she had a home, pretty large house full of clutter. When I say full of clutter, I mean like there were some rooms where it was like floor to ceilings, right? And a month into working with me, she's like, you know what, Margo, I am a minimalist. Now, mind you, was her home clutter-free? Absolutely not, right? But she decided I'm a minimalist, right? It's a mindset. So you can actually decide today, right now, that you are a tidy person. You're a clutter-free person. Maybe you're a minimalist, right? And then your actions are dictated by that new identity. All right, tip number 2. Okay, this is a big one, yet a small one, but a big one. It's very, very practical, and this is how I work. Tip number 2, if you want to master decluttering, it is to start small, especially if you're brand new, especially if you struggle with self-discipline, you struggle with procrastination, you maybe are the sentimental personality types, maybe you're the just in case of emergency, it doesn't matter, right? Start small. There is this crazy misconception that when you decide to declutter, you have to invest like 5 hours into one sitting and like sweat and hurt your back and all this stuff. Okay, you do not. Decluttering is less about how much time you spend doing it and more about commitment and consistency. And I talk about commitment a lot. Unless you commit to a clutter-free home, you are just dabbling. What that means is maybe you did a drawer because the mood hit and you were feeling a certain way. Maybe you decluttered a couple of nail polishes because you felt like it, but that's not commitment. That is sporadic. So it's less about how much time you actually invest in one sitting and more about consistency. And we'll talk about consistency and how you actually do that in tip number 3. Start small. You do not have to take on an entire closet. You do not have to tackle your entire kitchen. That is overwhelming. I mean, I've been doing this for years. And if somebody was just like, when I was starting out, I was like, declutter your whole kitchen, I would have been like, okay, bye. Like that is banana-ramas. We do not want to be overwhelmed. We do not like the second we begin to feel overwhelmed, the brain shuts down and we're like, oh, heck no. Walk away, right? And that's when procrastination takes over. Okay? Start small. Instead of saying, I'm going to declutter the entire kitchen, be like, I'm going to declutter this utensil drawer. Like, you tell me, how does that feel? If you, instead of saying, I'm going to declutter my kitchen, by the way, you're working towards a clutter-free kitchen, right? We just don't say that to ourselves. We're tricking our brain. We're tricking our mind. Instead, say, I'm going to declutter my utensil drawer. I am going to declutter a few items out of my freezer. I am going to declutter the dreaded containers, right? Go start small, a little bit of it at a time. If you're somebody, especially if you're somebody who has a lot of emotional attachment to stuff, very, very common, start easy. right? Get rid of expired items first. Maybe go through a couple of items in your pantry. Maybe go through, it's summer right now. Check if your sunblocks have expired, right? Maybe go through your sock and underwear drawer, right? If it's, stretched out, if it's missing a pair, whatever. Start small. The most important thing if you want to master decluttering is to start. There are so many things that happen in our minds where we're like, before we even started, right? There's all these stressors. Like, I can't do this. I don't know how this is going to happen. Like, we create so many stories in our minds about what it's going to be and how hard it's going to be. And I have now had hundreds of clients go in and out of my world. And every single one of them who is like, decluttering is too hard. I can't do this. It's never going to happen. Once they start taking action, this is a repetitive message I get. And it is, Margo, okay, this is super easy. Why didn't I do it earlier? Why didn't I do it sooner? Okay, I am telling you, there is no way when you start, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so difficult. No, this is why start small. You can go one drawer, one cabinet in your kitchen, one surface at a time and do it in 15-minute increments. And you're going to see progress. Again, consistency and commitment, low overwhelm. Don't take in the big picture. All right, tip number 3 is to create a decluttering schedule. The aimless decluttering has got to stop. When we have no to-do lists, what happens is we succumb to procrastination. We succumb to decision fatigue, especially if I work with a lot of one-on-one clients who have ADHD. If you have no guidance, no to-do list, no list, it's just going to be like one day I feel like it, the next day I don't. Then maybe you're doing something, you get distracted, you're like, oh my goodness, where was I, right? It becomes aimless, sporadic, and it really yields to no results. And what happened is you feel like you are actually decluttering, like you're doing something, but you're not seeing results. And it's because there is no system. There is no schedule. It's just kind of like random. If you want to start kicking butt to your clutter, if you want to purge, if you want to see progress, you have to create some type of to-do list. I always say again and again and again, time management is my superpower. I swear to you, I was like born with it. Or maybe it comes with like my type A personality, but I excel at making simple, effective to-do lists. You don't have to have an Excel spreadsheet that's like color coded and where like you're literally going blind looking at it. That is not what I mean by creating a decluttering schedule. Super simple. So I'll give you a very easy example. Most of us, we like really want a clutter-free kitchen, right? Because that's a space that we spend a lot of our time, and it would really make us happy if it didn't have so much stuff in it, right? And we could see the surface, which is our kitchen counter. So let's say, for example, you want to declutter your kitchen. What you're going to do is you're going to create a to-do list. What that means is on that list, you're going to take your kitchen, you're going to break it up into smaller, more manageable sections, right? Remember, I told you start small. So you're going to put like cabinet 1, cabinet 2, drawer 1, drawer 2, the refrigerator, the freezer, the kitchen counter, the table, right? You're going to break the kitchen, big picture, into smaller, more manageable sections. So that's going to be your to-do list, right? All of these small, manageable, low stress sections. You can even break them up even smaller, whatever works for you, right? And then you're going to create a schedule. So you're going to say, hey, I'm going to declutter Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from, 6 p.m. to 6:15 p.m., right? That is your schedule. That is it. It is a one-pager. It is super simple. You're going to take that to-do list, you're going to pin it in the room that you're decluttering. So if we're using the example of the kitchen, take your one-pager to-do list. If it's more than one page, you've gone too far. You've made it way too complicated, okay? We don't want to get overwhelmed by our to-do list. All right, you want to look at your to-do list and you want to be like, oh, it's like a roadmap, right? This looks great, right? And you, let's say, start with the first item. You finish it, you cross it out. That builds motivation, right? That's positive reinforcement. You knocked one thing off of your to-do list. It feels good, and it's going to motivate you to move on to the second thing and the third and the fourth, right? So if you want to master and you want to achieve a clutter-free home, create a simple to-do list and commit to some type of schedule. Whether it's, remember, I told you, it's commitment and consistency. Whether it's once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week or 5 times a week, whatever you can commit to, literally on top, put Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe just Saturday for an hour and break apart the room. It's in that space and it's a constant reminder. And then you will eliminate decision fatigue because it's going to be like, okay, once I'm done with this is where I go next. It's a beautiful thing. Super easy, super simple, right? The most important thing is start. Get over the hump of starting. And an interesting thing also that happens is that, for example, if we declutter our kitchen, you're going to find that once you are on your decluttering journey, other things are going to start to happen. So a good example of this is if you're decluttering, for example, your pantry, and all of a sudden you're seeing like all of these snacks and maybe you find a bunch of unhealthy items and you're like, oh my God, what have I been eating, right? So what will happen is a lot of times as we're decluttering certain spaces in our home, we start to want to improve other areas of our life, right? So all of a sudden our awareness, our eyes are open, right? And we're like, oh my God, I really need to eat better. And I know if you haven't done this yet, you're probably, Margo, like, that's not going to happen. No. Trust me when I tell you, it has happened to every single one of my clients. They start with decluttering, transforming their environment. And the next thing you know, they're exercising, they're eating better, they're, working on their relationships. A lot of my clients work on boundaries, right? And self-worth and self-esteem. Your self-esteem increases as you are being successful, purging and getting rid of the toxic stuff that doesn't serve you in your home. It's a beautiful transformation. It starts with your home, but then all of these other things as a domino effect start to happen. And if you are interested, I will be hosting a live masterclass on Wednesday, July 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the masterclass is called Healthy Home, Healthy You. And what you're going to learn there is the direct impact of a clutter-free home on your health. I'm going to teach you practical tips for organizing places like your kitchen to support healthy eating habits. I'm going to give you strategies for maintaining a clutter-free lifestyle. It's all about maintenance, right? Maintenance is super important. And I'm going to give you techniques to align your physical space, your home, with your emotional and mental well-being. I am so excited about this masterclass. It's going to be so motivational, so inspiring. And if you can't make it live, then you will receive a replay in your email inbox of the entire masterclass and you can view it on demand. For more information, you can check out the link in the show notes. Okay, let's move on to how to master decluttering and achieving a clutter-free home. Okay, so this is tip number 4. Focus your attention on high traffic areas. So I call them eye twitch zones. If you're a long-term follower of my podcast and my YouTube channel, I'm very big on talking about eye twitch areas. Eye twitch areas are the spaces in your home that are high traffic. So these are areas like your entryway, your kitchen, your closet, your bathroom, right? High traffic areas. Focus on the must-have areas to declutter instead of the nice-to-haves. While your linen closet might be a nice-to-have, you're not going to get the same motivation that you will from decluttering a high traffic area such as your kitchen, which you use every single time, which will serve as an example of how well you did decluttering. And you really kind of build motivation when you declutter a high traffic area and you're proud of it. I've had clients declutter their kitchens and then they will message me and they'll say, Margo, I'm literally standing in the doorway of my kitchen, just staring at it, breathing deeply. Like we went from suffocating in a space to now just taking a deep breath in the space. And it feels so incredible. So eye twitch areas tend to be the most rewarding. And especially since you're in and out of the space all the time, right? And it literally serves as an example of success. It's like I was able to do this. And that'll in turn motivate you to declutter other high traffic areas because you're going to actually feel the difference between what it feels like to walk into a cluttered room versus what it feels like to walk into a clutter-free room. Like you literally breathe easy. I'm telling you, it's just, oh my God, you have to experience it for yourself, but it's a beautiful thing. And finally, and this is super important, and I know that a lot of us kind of fall into this, but it is you have to finish what you started. This is why I preach a lot to start small. I preach a lot 15-minute increments, small projects. And the reason for that is one of the surest ways to feel unaccomplished and like we failed is to sporadically start things all over the house and never really get around to finishing them. And I totally get it. Inspiration starts in the bathroom, the medicine cabinet, then the pantry, then the closet, then the makeup, then the kitchen countertop. Inspiration is a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong, but we want to finish. We want to complete a project from start to finish. The completion of something before moving on to a different task is what will motivate us, right? I'm all about motivation. What will motivate us to continue other areas of our home? What happens when you don't finish a project, when you have an incomplete project? It merely serves as a reminder of what we still have to finish. And if you've ever experienced this, you know that it does not feel good. It never feels good to have unfinished tasks. And this is why starting small is so effective. Bite-sized decluttering, as I call it, is manageable in one sitting, even if you have to lock yourself in a room to do it. So I hope you found today's tips helpful. Again, I want to remind you that if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you find yourself procrastinating, just start. Just do something really, really small. Just, kind of connect to that energy, right? Maybe there's a day where like you're high energy and you're feeling good. Instead of, watching TV for 30 minutes, just walk over to your kitchen counter or a drawer or a cabinet or a shelf or whatever, right? Anything, even if it's just one item, just take action. You will find that once you take action, it is never and will never be as hard as you made it out to seem. Thank you so much for listening. As always, good luck on your decluttering journey, and remember to be good to yourselves.